to rejection. I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances are quite unlikely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Boxes, boxes. I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted, exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
Good morning, Knicks universe. Welcome back to another episode of the Knicks Morning Brew on this Monday, December 4th. Like always, I'm your guy Hector, joined by my brother, Mr. Phil All Caps, and my main man, Pots and Pans, Jiggaman, Porto.
Fellas, oh my God, you off a whole week in Puerto Rico. I haven't had an intro like that. I missed you. I missed you very much, bro. Hug me through the computer, bro.
It's fine. I'm not going to do all that this morning, but I did miss you. I miss Phil. I miss the chat. I miss talking about our Knicks, and it's a good way to come back. We got dope guests that we're going to have these convos with. But fellas, how you feeling?
So this is how I know that you missed me, okay? Because sometimes people can say they miss you, and then you're like, you full of it. Or like, oh, it's so good to see you. And you're like, no, it's not. Let's be real. But with you, when you come back with like tons of insults to me backstage, I know that you have been dying.
I had one insult
for 7 days to get that off your chest. You've been watching the shows. You've been watching the shows from PR, and you have not been able to throw an insult at your brother, and it was burning in your chest that you had to get it off before the show even started.
That's why he's still smiling, bro. He's happy.
That's a fact. First of all, it was just one insult, and it was nothing major, anything like that. I just said, regardless of how good you look, Phil, you still look ugly to me. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay,
and that's the brother jealousy. I love it. And you look dapper. You came back looking like muy guapo. I love it.
Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you. I'm still on Puerto Rico time right now, but let's jump into the conversation. Shout out JJ that's in the chat. Chin Sundays, Jonathan's, my guy Nick CAA affiliate. If you guys can smack that like button. Hit the subscribe button as well. We are 4 subscribers away from 1,800. We are almost at 2,000 subs. So help us out. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Like our friend Jerry says, gently smack it. You don't have to be aggressive with it. Just hit it lightly tap. And, little tap.
Simple. Yo, we got dope guests today. We got so much to talk about. We coming off a dope win, okay? We got a big challenge on our hands tomorrow. And what better way than these ladies right here to help us start this conversation? Yes. And let's be real. We've been trying for months, right? Between their schedules,
on the Knicks nightcap this summer.
Yeah, and then they were in like London, and then they were like, look at us, international travelers.
They got bougie international superstars. That's what it is.
You free this week? I'm sorry, we're hosting at the Garden. Well, excuse me.
Honestly, it felt like the lady in the girl in high school that you're trying to get. And she's I'll give you the number, and then you get the number, and it's only 6 digits, and you're like dialing every number to see if you got it, and you're like, no, she didn't give me the right number. And then
I thought that only happened to me.
You're like, no, do they really like me? And so I'm glad they're finally here. We finally pulled it off. It's been like 3.5 months in the making, but it was worth the wait.
Before we bring them up, I just gotta say they are 2 of the most genuine souls, not just in the Knicks universe, in just the world, right? I met up with these ladies on opening night. Shout out to the entire Knicks Omni family. The way that they welcomed me in, it was my first time hanging out with them, but the way that I was welcomed in, it felt like lost family. So without further ado, let's bring up the Omni twins. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
In the building. Good morning.
Welcome. First of all, can we just say you got the girls, okay?
The number was real.
Oh my God.
Don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife that it actually happened.
Mom's the word. Mom's the word.
Hours in Knicks universe, but we are here. And thank you guys so much for having us on. Like you said, it's been a couple of months in the making, and schedules are crazy. Once the season gets started, you guys already know. So preachers to the choir, but we're so happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for having us on your amazing, super dope platform. I love it. The Knicks Morning Brew. I love it. Like, you guys are just great at what you guys do. We were so blessed to be able to meet Hector and get to bond with him a little bit, but now Here we go. Phil and Jigga, Hector, we're here.
Let's go. That's it. You know what? We don't, nobody even talk. Everybody just stand and pose, and that's it.
That's
the show's
it.
over.
That's it.
It
Strike a
happened.
pose.
All right. Look, before we jump into everything, want to give you ladies your flowers because Nick Tac-Toe, that is so much fun to watch. All right. And I know people are starting to catch on to it. The Twitterverse world of Knicks is starting to realize it too. And it was just such a great concept what you guys are doing there with the Nick of Time and Jay Ellis and them. But shout out to you because it's a lot of fun. Hector told us he's on an upcoming episode. He had a blast doing it. So I want to.
It's been super dope to try something new, you know, in the Knicks universe. Like we're known for doing trivia, of course, but not for an entire game show. So we put our brain power with Jay Ellis and we came up with Nick Tac-Toe. And we're so blessed and humbled that people have been tuning in and been taken to it. We get, you know, hit up for, you know, for people to be contestants all the time. So we're just blessed to be in this space and to have people that want to support the vision and do something fun. And also you get to win a little gift card at the end. So it's not, you know, it's a win-win.
I love how Double A in the chat, Phil said, love the Sisters Game Show, but they set my man Ron, still Knicks fan, up against a ringer. Laugh out loud. Greetings.
Come on. This wasn't a ringer. We don't have no ringer.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been dodging Jay Ellis's texts because I'm horrible at remembering stuff. Like I'm horrible. Like if there's certain moments, like I can give you what the shoe was on that certain player, but then certain ones that didn't like capture me, they just roll off my shoulder, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. So he's like, you want to be on the game show? I'm like, I don't want to look like an uncredible like Knicks fan. I'm just like hitting the ignore button.
And let me tell you something. We make up the trivia, but if I was on the actual spot to answer trivia, it would be a totally different story. So I feel you.
Phil.
Talking about Jay Ellis. He's in the chat. He said, "Oh, that's why Phil didn't answer me."
I just outed myself.
The truth came out, Phil. Now you can't be like, oh, I didn't receive your text. My kids always laugh. They're like, Dad, don't you ever do trivia. Because I freeze when we get to the drive-through window at McDonald's, okay? Like, I'm that guy. I'm like, I gave my order, and they're like, can I help you, sir? I'm like, and I never get what I know I want, so you can count me out. I suck at trivia so bad. Phil, you just blew it up, bro.
I did.
Yeah, you just blew up. Jay Ellis.
In the chat.
Yeah, Jay Ellis, he's removing you from social media friendships right now. Okay, he's blocking you right now. But no, listen, Jazz and Jet, before we get into any conversations when it comes to the Knicks in this season, we wanted the people in the chat to know that aren't familiar with you guys. How'd you guys get started? When it comes to the Omni Fan, how long have you guys been doing it? Shout out to my man Randle with the 1999 super chat. Shout out to the Knicks sisters for providing us with the dopest Knicks game events and watch parties. If you haven't been to a Knicks Omni Fan event, you are truly missing out when fans become family. And I can attest to that. My man Ronald hit me up and said, you got to come with me. We made it happen. He introduced me to an amazing community that you guys have. So let the people in the chat know. How'd you ladies get started with this? Go ahead.
No, well, thank you, and so grateful for Ron for making this connection. And so we started. I mean, we've always been Knicks fans since the '90s. You know, growing up, that's basically all we knew. And around like 2014, when we were losing. We, you know, even though we had Melo and things, it still wasn't back to what we knew as, you know, the Knicks, you know, great days. So we decided that we wanted to be able to, you know, connect Knicks fans. And so we started with a Facebook group called Fort Knicks at the time. We're from Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
Nice.
So we started out with a group there, and we saw that there was a real need for a community and to bring people together. And so we started having events, lounge events at the Garden. Shout out to Tommy from New York Knicks Memes, because he was the first group event that we ever went to and introduced us to the whole idea of, you know, group events at the Garden in the lounge would come with food, beverage. So it was just a great experience. And so, we took that and, you know, decided that we put our trivia spin on things and just grew it from there. Right. We just want to keep fans connected and engaged, keep it fun, you know, also part of it is that, you know, if you're not a season ticket holder, you don't get access to a lot of great fan experiences that are available. And so that's also part of the motivation, is to allow fans to be able to experience things that they typically wouldn't be able to. So most of our events include, especially with the ones at the Garden, they include a fan experience, which is either like shoot around, pregame shoot around, free throws, photos on the court, a Knicks alumni meet and greet, things of that nature that the average fan is not going to just be able to access by just buying a general ticket. We want to keep it fun and engaging, and of course, the banter is all part of it. Oh my God, we love it. We love it. It wouldn't be an OmniFan event if it wasn't banter, of course, or a Knicks event, I guess, for that matter. But yeah, we just want to just keep people connected and engaged, having fun, and make them feel like their loyalty, their time, their effort, their money is actually being recognized, and we're giving back. Because it's not about, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fans, if it wasn't for our whole entire community. So like, we pour into each other's cup. And it's a beautiful synergy. We just love it. Thank you.
Yeah,
and there is the origin story. Love it.
No, 100%. And I just want to add on to what JL has just put in the chat. They need more credit than they get. And that's an absolute fact. You ladies need more credit. You guys need more eyes on you than you already have. Like I said, the space that you guys hold for your average Knicks fan is amazing. I would have never had to got access to a live shoot around, going on the court pregame, taking pictures. None of that if you ladies weren't involved with that. So want to give you guys your flowers. And if you guys can in the chat, make sure you go on Twitter. Make sure you go on Instagram. Support the Omni Knicks fan. Make sure that this movement keeps on growing. And if we can over here, I want to ask you guys, I want to put you guys on a hot seat. Just whenever you guys have events at the Garden, send them to me on Instagram. That way, on every show, we can promote it. We can highlight it. We'll put the link in our description on every video of the Knicks Morning Brew. Wow. I just threw that out there. I didn't even speak to the fellas about it, but I know that they would have no objection to that. So I if you guys can, just make sure, just message me on Instagram, and I'll constantly put it in our description to our videos.
Thank you so much for offering that. Sorry, go ahead, Phil.
No, that's one thing you don't need to run by us, because like for us, our whole thing has been, the three of us, me and Jigga are actual family. But when Hector became part of it, it was like, he was like the brother that we never had, and it's always been our goal that if we did this, that we made it to where whoever watched the show, whoever we connect with, they're not viewers, they're not subscribers, there are people, like if you can't, and maybe that's the Puerto Rican in us, that makes everybody,
there we go.
I mean, my mom's got a plate, it's waiting for whoever walks in the door, so
already know that's how we do.
So we would watch what you guys were doing, and we always felt like, man, every person that we've seen, whether it's on Knicks Twitter or Knicks Facebook or whatever, that has been to one of your events has felt that same vibe. And that's why we wanted to connect. We wanted to be part of this, because for us, there's a lot of things that can divide people, and being Knicks fans, there's so many things that we can focus on, even as Knicks fans, that we see differently. But if we could just focus on the things that keep us united, we don't need to worry about all the other garbage that can make us be separated, So we appreciate you guys. And I've said it to these guys. I want one day to do an OmniFans Knicks Morning Brew takeover event where we just have the freaking
live.
We are so down.
Needs to happen.
We would love that.
How do you make things? Listen, guys. How do you make things better? You just add more boricuas to it. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
That's it. You know what I mean?
Oh man!
Real quick, guys. Shout out Double A. Welcome one back.
Yes.
Heck, hope our East lot was good to you. Phil, Jigga, salute my brothers. Appreciate you, Double A. Guys, everybody.
And I just want to say what Phil just said. What Phil just said about his grandmother having a plate ready for you guys. I know that, growing up Puerto Rican, right? It was just something that was second nature, right? You see someone in the streets, you're being on the island. I saw it in real time and the families that we've met, the people we met, our Airbnb host, his entire family. It was just so welcoming. And you would think that, they're just making it up just to say, no, it really is that type of feeling. You go to the island and you meet locals. It's a warm welcoming. It's like a family affair. Even if you're a stranger, you're not blood related. It literally feels like a family affair. But let's, enough with the pleasantries because we could cry all morning. Let's get right into the conversation. You guys talked about doing events back in 2014 during the Mellow days, and wasn't that good? Can you speak on the current regime right now, from Scott Perry to Tom Thibodeau to what we're seeing in the Garden over these past 3 to 4 years, and the level of consistency that we haven't seen as Knicks fans? Can you go ahead?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's what's been like the driving force over the past couple of years, is that we're seeing actual hope. Like, there's actual hope. There's a silver lining, you know what I mean? And our front office has made sure that they're playing the long game. They're not just making impulsive moves to satisfy whatever the fan base's, rhetoric, or even what's, the fact that we need wins immediately. They're playing the long game, and that's what the front office hadn't done historically. From the Scott Layden days to even the Phil Jackson days, we were pretty much making impulsive moves, or moves that were just short-sighted, picking up ridiculous contracts that we're still paying off Joakim Noah, okay? And now we have a cohesive front office that is, again, they're seeing the bigger picture. It's not short-sighted, and I feel like the fans respect that. They see it, they feel it. I mean, granted, we got a lot of flack this offseason for not making too many moves, but the positive side to that is that we can continue to build our chemistry, which we're in desperate need of, after last year's playoff run where Julius Randle didn't show up. I mean, this season is showing that sticking with the same guys isn't always a bad thing. Right. And we had the same coach for like how many seasons now? Before it was a new coach every season. Right. That matters. All that matters in terms of, building team chemistry. And when you have the same set of guys, or you're keeping mostly the same set of players, right? The core is the same. I mean, you can only go up from there. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's funny because think about it. Like, we all hear the continuity word so much this season, right? That's been the key word. But everybody uses that word in regards to our players. It's like, that also can apply to this front office, to what we've seen for several years. Like, there's continuity there. We, for the first time, are sitting there saying, wow, they actually might not do that stupid ass trade just to get a name. And we're confident in that, right? Not they're going to do something stupid.
So here's the one thing I want to bring up, a comment for one of our, panel members, because for me, their opinions matter just as much, and I want to address it. So they were talking, Double A said, sorry guys, for me, they are not doing enough, especially when it comes to addressing our needs. No draft pick in 2 years. Drafting and development is very important. But I think it's not an either or kind of situation. And I think that's what we get like really hung up on, and we miss the mark a lot on fandom, is we can celebrate the fact that we haven't had to immediately fire everybody because our team is so trash. We can be excited that we finally have a good point guard since Stephon Marbury. There's the actual first good point guard that can actually put up buckets and not be complete trash. But we can also look at it and say, yeah, I really do think that we still need to be drafting. I really do think that we're still a piece away. It doesn't have to be either or. And I feel like that's where a lot of the fandom starts butting heads, is they get so stuck on one side that they refuse to see the other side has some points. But the truth is in the middle. Both can be true.
Absolutely. And an example of that, I feel like, is the Obi trade. Like, I was very disappointed with what we got in return for giving up Obi. You know what I'm saying? And two things can be true at the same time, like to your point, Phil. So they're not perfect, you know what I mean? But generally, I'm a fan of the moves that they have made.
Yeah. And you can also you go back to the developing side of it. Yes, would it be any team would love to say they're developing someone new every year, right? But we're witnessing guys over the last couple of years that we have developed that are starting to shine. Look at Grind, right? It was 3 years ago we were begging, play the kids. Well, now the kids aren't the kids. The kids are in the process of developing, right? Now we're looking at some of the kids and saying, should you still be here? But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
So Yeah, do we wish we had the perfect franchise? Yeah, but in my eyes, there is no perfect franchise. All right. All the super teams shit the bed. All the ones that you don't expect to be good, all of a sudden you're like, Orlando Magic, who? Right? Like you start looking at stuff and we can say that there's been more positive moves than negative moves.
I got to pat myself on the back. I did get roasted.
Orlando Magic.
I did get roasted this summer when I said that the Orlando Magic were going to surprise the hell out of people, and everyone told me I was absolutely nuts. And they were like, they're like 5 years away from even being a playoff team.
I remember one of the comments that we got on that episode. Someone wrote, "Oh, I didn't know Phil smoked that much green in Florida." Feels like I don't even smoke
here and on Twitter, and so I kept receipts on that. You know, I hit some of those people up, and I'm like, man, that team is
that good that loud pack, Phil, because you were talking the truth.
Yeah, he was, and
I love what Jay Ellis said here. Heck, I take Brunson over that year's draft any day of the week. Facts.
I was just going to bring that up.
Our draft pick to clear up more cap space to be able to sign Jalen Brunson. So I'm with that move 100%.
Yeah, and you could play devil's advocate and say, well, the front office never signed Kemba or Fournier. We would have never had to been in that situation. Yes, I understand that, but they were still able to navigate around signing Kemba, trading Kemba, and a draft pick in order to free up cap space for Jalen Brunson. When you look at our starting lineup, I know there's question marks when it comes to Quentin Grimes, but just look at it. RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, and Mitchell Robinson. 3 guys that we drafted and developed are in our starting lineup.
Yeah.
Then you look at our bench, Emmanuel Quickly, who's most likely going to get $20 million per season this offseason when he gets his contract extension. So when you look at it, those are 4 players that we drafted and developed. Go ahead, Phil. I'm sorry to cut you off, brother.
No, not at all. I was just saying, to your point, we look at the draft and we go, okay, Jalen Brunson, okay, we didn't get that. But if Kemba Walker, well, yeah, but if we didn't do the Kemba Walker and Fournier trade, which sucked, and it didn't fall flat on its face, we never would have been looking for a new point guard and found the diamond in the rough that is Jalen Brunson. He would still be coming off the bench in Dallas or maybe thriving somewhere else, and we wouldn't have had the opportunity. So we can harp on all the sucky things, but if a sucky thing eventually turned into a good thing, then we need to focus on what it turned into and not what it was, because we can harp on those things all day long. Yes, it was a stupid move. Yes, Fournier is still getting paid to just be pissed off and look angry on the bench. Like,
yeah, but that's because what y'all don't realize, though, the discounts that he gets for the team on baguettes and French coffee in the morning. But ladies, would you agree that I don't want people in the chat to think this is a kumbaya moment. They've done everything right. The front office is amazing.
No, never.
We have to find that balance of that statement where you hear the forgive but don't forget. If you're still holding the record we're holding, we're seeing us get better and better. You can forgive, but you don't have to forget the mistakes.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, that's
not live in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. You can't ever forget because at the end of the day, we have receipts, okay?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if when a certain amount of time has passed and things are still not adding up, we're gonna tally those receipts and we're gonna make a move. We're gonna do what we need to do. But for the interim, we have to take some of the good and the bad. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's more positive that has come out of these front office moves than negative.
You know what?
Yes, and I want to just credit James Dolan for taking a step back. Right, he hired the right people. He put them in the right place in a position, and he took a step back to let them thrive instead of trying to be that backseat driver whispering in their ear, do this and do that and do this and do that. So credit to James Dolan where credit is due. There was a lot of mistakes in the past that happened. We could move on for it. But for right now, December 4th, 2023, looking into 2024, James Dolan, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it. Focus on your music.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Focus on playing cards. Do whatever you're doing. Just fall back.
Right.
And I'll play devil's advocate here, guys. I'm not saying that with all the trade speculation, all that they might not get something wrong here. Okay, we might be 2 weeks, a month away from saying, I hate you. What the hell is wrong with this front office? But here's the good news. You're allowed to change your opinion, damn it. Yeah. I own my opinion, okay? If I feel good today, I can feel good. Jay Boogie, real quick, I'll toss to you, Phil. I'm looking for breaking news. Y'all heard the remix. I know most of y'all have. The office, the squad should come in this season knowing it's championship or bust. The target should be June, not April. See, that's something we can expand on. You
All
know,
right.
are we in that championship or bust stage right now? Phil, I'm gonna go to you on that and then throw it over to the ladies.
And that's the perfect topic of what you guys are talking about, like being able to focus on the good and the bad. So when it comes to Dolan, I'm glad that he's finally taken a step back. When it comes to Leon Rose, there's still something to prove for me. You know, like you come in. So if I tell, you know, if OmniFans sells tickets to a bunch of people to their events, and they're like, this event is going to have John Starks, Allen Houston, and Stephon Marbury hanging out with everybody. And everybody gets there. And there's Courtney Lee. And there's Joakim Noah. And, you know, and you have all these
Chris
players
Duhon.
that you're just like, hold up. You know, and everyone's waiting first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. They're hoping by that fourth quarter that you're actually going to back up what you gave them that ticket for. When Leon Rose came in, we were all preached, hey, this is the guy. He may not have a ton of experience, but he can bring you a star. Like, he's got the connections to bring a star. Well, people are like, well, maybe Jalen Brunson was that. Well, he wasn't a star when we like brought him here. So that's not what was promised, you know? So we've still yet to see that come to fruition. So, of course, people that bought into that still want to see that. You know, that's something to still see. And with Tibbs, it can still be both. Like, I crucified Tibbs when he refused to learn new things, when he was stubborn, when he wouldn't make in-game changes that cost us very valuable games, when he pulled people that he shouldn't have pulled because he wanted to play his favorites. I had a problem with that. He's starting to do things differently. You're starting to see him actually use ball movement, which I never thought Tibbs would do. You're starting to see a 3-point game, which I never thought Tibbs would adapt to. It took a long time, but it's starting to happen. Are there still things that I think need to change from him? Yes. Do I still think that someone new should be coming up soon? Yes. That's how business works. You know, you start getting to that point where you can only do so much. Someone else should be coming over and taking that position. So for me, Tibbs is like those like 60-plus-year-old guys that you see on TikTok now, like doing a dance with like their kids or their like way too young wife. And you're just like, okay, I give you credit that you can move like that at 65 years old. And I watched it and I enjoyed it for that 36 seconds, but I definitely don't ever want to see it again. You know, like I'm not subscribing to it. That's Tibbs to me. You know, like he's doing the dance right now and I'm okay with watching it. But eventually I want to see something new.
I'm going to go on my TikTok and delete all my dancing videos now. That was a sub. That was a sub. Go ahead.
Hector, you went so quick.
To your point, Phil, though, you know, I think that Tibbs really felt the heat. You know what I'm saying? I think that for sure he was feeling the heat, the pressure of his job being on the line, and I think that he was forced to step out of his comfort zone, step out of what he's been doing for all this time, which works. Yep. But the NBA has changed. You know what I mean? The systems have changed. It's a different type of game. It's a shooting game. It's a young game. It's a fast game, and Tibbs had to readjust. And I think it was that pressure of his job being on the line that really forced him to make the adjustments. Because I'm on the same. I'm with you, Phil. I mean, and I think a lot of Knicks fans we were just completely dumbfounded as to why Tibbs could be so. I mean, he was just so stubborn about his rotations and pulling guys, and it was just it made no sense at the end of the day. Like that's what really got on my nerves the most about Tibbs' coaching. It's the rotations. Like as far as the season opener, even RJ was pulled. He was doing so well. Then he benched him. Then you finally bring him back with 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and he's lost his streak. You know what I'm saying? So it's the rotations that really get on my nerves when Tibbs doesn't make that adjustment. When somebody's hot, leave them in. They're hot. Absolutely. But he's made the adjustments. So I'm at least again, it's that bit of hope. That's like kind of the recurring theme so far for this season is like, okay, we're hearing the call and we're making the adjustments, and I could appreciate that.
And you know, not to give Tibbs too much credit, too many flowers, but even now in the fourth quarter, we're seeing it, right? I mean, look, you're seeing Grimes struggle, and that kid hasn't touched the fourth quarter in the last 5-6 games.
That's
right. So now seeing him make the moves that it's because you're not the hot hand. That's what I'm excited about. The fact that you're actually going with the hot hand. It's like, okay, maybe it was like a Men in Black situation. It's not really him in the body. It's an alien. Whatever it is, sign me up for it, because everybody in the chat seems to be on the same page. I did love what Jay Ellis said. He said, if we get a chip with no star, then I'll forgive him. So he ain't ready about
Yeah.
not yet.
We would too, but that ain't happening.
Yeah, no time soon. But and I know Tibbs is a veteran coach, and he's been in the league ever since I was in high school, right? Or even younger than that, right? So, but it seems like over the past 4 years, Tibbs has grown alongside the Julius Randle, the RJ Barrett, the Mitchell Robinson. Tom Thibodeau has grown himself when it comes to how he handles certain matchups, like Phil and Jigga just pointed out, his late game decision making in that fourth quarter. So Tibbs has come a long way from year 1 to year 4 of Tom Thibodeau, and the relationship that he has built with Mitchell Robinson. You guys remember his first year, Mitchell Robinson was upset. Mitchell Robinson was throwing subs onto, well, he's always throwing subs on Instagram, but Mitchell Robinson, he wasn't starting. They had other people starting, and Mitchell Robinson had to earn his spot. And you see it right now. Look at Mitchell Robinson in year 4 under Tom Thibodeau, how he has become a professional, probably going to be in a candidate for defensive player of the year. He is leading our team in steals. We've never seen that version of Mitchell Robinson stealing and getting his hands in a passing lane. So year 4 under Tom Thibodeau with Mitchell Robinson. Tom Thibodeau is a defensive coach, and it's showing with Mitchell Robinson and his growth from when we first got him fresh out of high school, because that first year he didn't go to college. It was a whole debacle with that. He was picked in the second round. He was second behind DeAndre Ayton, going into that draft when it comes to centers, and he fell all the way to the second round, and he had to rebuild his career, and he has done it. So shout out to Mitchell Robinson and the growth that he has had in these 5 years, and he's the longest tenure Knick that we have is Mitchell Robinson. It's crazy to even say that.
It's crazy to say that loud every time. So look, but before we switch up the topic, and not really switch up, but I want to get the ladies' answers on this. I will say Keith Turner put in there, well, as long as Tibbs is here, the longer we will be in mediocrity, right? Which it brings up the question, if we were to take the credit away from Tibbs, so then are we saying that we're winning in spite of Tibbs? Like, this is the first season where I feel like, no, you've got to give Tibbs even more credit, because we have seen the change, especially after we all bugged out when he went to that 9-man rotation. All of us, let's be real. When it first happened, we're like, what the hell are we doing? And then it started working. So yeah, do I think maybe he'll have a ceiling on the change? The point is, we thought he never could change.
Right.
Keith? We thought we wouldn't see any of that. The fact that we're seeing that's why he deserves the flowers he deserves. But I'll ask you, ladies, because we're on the topic. Is it safe to say that we have stars on our team? Because the big conversation is go get a star. We're still hearing that. Why I woke up on a Monday, today, December 4th, and I'm still reading Levine talks. That's the one where it's like the girl told you no. She told you no. She didn't even give you the fake number.
Right.
She already told you no.
No, we have budding stars. That's what I think that we have. We definitely I think we still need a piece in the 2-guard position. But we do have budding stars, and I'm not in favor of making a trade that's going to break up this core of unit that we have right now. So we have to be very careful when it comes to making a trade at this point. Yeah, I think it's going to come down to like a free agent signing. If you ask me, like over the summer even. I don't think anything major is going to happen between now and the trade deadline. I mean, this whole, obviously we're talking about Demar Derozan and Zach LaVine, who no. I mean, Demar Derozan, I would take him, but again, not in a trade package, because we're gonna have to give up one of our top 3. I feel like take a Demar Derozan, or if not more. And so yeah, I feel like Jalen Brunson is a star. Is he a superstar? Not yet. Julius Randle, he's a star. Is he a superstar? Not yet. And what is he in? Season year 10?
10.
So yeah. I don't know where his ceiling is. RJ has potential, but we need consistency. And granted, he's still very young, or early off in his career. But again, he's not showing us superstar tendencies right now. He's been improving, and I like that with RJ. He's taken certain aspects of his game, like his defense and his free throw shooting, and just making sure that his shooting efficiency has improved. And he's worked on key things that from each season you can tell RJ's improving his overall game. But in terms of a superstar, exactly, and he has a very high basketball IQ. And just as a general note, our team has a very high basketball IQ this year. Like, I'm really impressed with Isaiah Hartenstein, Josh Hart, all those guys. Like, they're really smart basketball players. But I don't think we have stars, but we don't have superstars. And so again, back to that two guard conversation. That's where we really need a superstar. That's going to put up the offense that we need so that all the pressure doesn't have to fall on JB, on Julius, on RJ. You know what I'm saying? We need somebody who's going to really take the reins. And the two guard position is notorious for having that high scorer, that guy who's going to be the glue. Granted, I know we have our point guard, and that's we have our captain in terms of the floor general. But
doesn't it sound so good when you hear that out loud? It sounds good when you hear it, don't you? We have a point guard. Oh my God,
we have a point guard.
It still excites me.
Yeah, it don't ever get old. It won't ever get old. But no, to your question, we do.
So real
have
quick,
stars, but no superstar.
Yeah, and on that topic, I don't know who had the comment on is this season, are we always going to be in mediocrity as long as we keep Tibbs here? I think that's where we got to stop living in extremes. Like right now, we are tied for 4th in the Eastern Conference. That does not scream mediocrity when there's 15 teams in your division. We're 4th. That doesn't make us mediocre. We're 7 through 9. Now you could say mediocre because we're stuck in that middle of not having anything, But you got to look that we're tied for 4th when we had a Julius Randle start that was atrocious, that looked horrible, for like 4 or 5 games into it, and we still are tied for 4th. We had RJ Barrett injured for 5 games, has come back shaky, yet we're still 5th in the division. We've had we had Grimes, who has pretty much been a ghost since that one 3-point sharpshooting game that he had, and we're still, 4th in the division. So I don't want to live in extremes where we're like, oh, we're mediocre and not give Tibbs any credit, because yes, there are things that Tibbs needs to change, but we saw a closing unit of 4 guards, and one of them was Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickley, who we never saw them close a game together up until that point. But it worked because both of them were hot, and he refused to take anyone out and let them ride. And that's what won us the game, was those 2 shooting and opening up opportunities in the paint because you had to guard the 3. So there are different decisions that he's made this year that he hasn't made before. So anyone who thinks that I completely hate Tibbs and you crucify me all the time,
you do.
Shut it, because obviously I'm giving him 2 kind of players.
Hector's always there to just poke the bear, bro.
Because I miss Phil. I've been going for a whole week, and I haven't been able to bother Phil on stream, so I've missed him. That's how much. I love him.
Aw, you guys.
Well, I love that you went with the line of budding superstars. Right, we've got budding stars, right, and that's why I've been on the big stop with go trade for a star. Get the pieces that are going to help elevate these guys that are coming into their own. That's what we need to be putting a major focus on, right? Like, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, Heck and Phil, I'm gonna jump into the Grimes conversation a little bit because he keeps sneaking in here, right? Everybody took the me saying Grimes needs to not be in that starting unit after game 3, and I was roasted, right? And I don't care about the receipts and all that. That's fine. But you know what? I'm ready to take a little step back. And I figured today was the day to talk about it with you two, to tell me if I need to jump off this ledge. Ron, I heard. I said it. Tell me off the ledge, Ron. But you know what? Having Quentin Grimes in there, not doing anything and holding his end up. Granted, I still don't think it's superstar defense. I think it's good defense. I think we're seeing some lack of defense at times. Right. You can't give me he's a superstar defender, and then I still see him get cooked at times. So, but his defense is good compared to most of the other guys on the team. He holds his own. I'm starting to think maybe having him in that starting unit, even with him not scoring, is a benefit for us. And the reason I'm saying that, ladies, is you go and get yourself a DeMar DeRozan. Now you're clogging up. Now you're getting somebody that is going to be in that field goal area. I just feel like maybe Grimes being a ghost is why the other 4 are able to do what they're doing. It's one less guy.
That's a fair assessment. That's one side of the coin. And then the other side is just that we're just going to start. If we had a more explosive 2 guard, we would just start games out, I hope, a little stronger. You know what I'm saying? And stop having to play this catch-up basketball every damn game. You know what I'm saying? I want to be consistent for 4 quarters. And I feel like with the addition of another consistent scorer, we wouldn't have to be playing catch-up basketball as often as we do. And so I personally feel like Quentin Grimes was never a starting 2 guard, ever. I think that he was solid, but I saw something, it was just so funny. They said, yeah, Quentin Ntilikina. Because, it was just like that thing like, oh, he has this great defense. And I love Quentin, you know what I'm saying? My nickname for him is Trigger, because when he's on, he's hot, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we need consistency. And what Quentin Grimes has shown is that he's not consistent.
I think everybody's still holding on to the, I hurt myself. I made an epic play. It was amazing. We all enjoyed that moment and we want to live there. It's like, why would certain players you want to live in that highlight moment, but then bash them for any other stuff? Exactly. It needs to be even kill for everybody. Yeah. And if you're not doing your job and you're not performing, that's why this conversation is had on every single channel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And listen, when it comes to Quentin Grimes, defensively, the potential is there. We know what he's going to do defensively. He's going to stick on you like a mosquito in the summertime. But the offensive game, when it comes to Quentin Grimes, it's lacking. You can look at his stats over the past 5 games. And over the past 5 games, he's played 19.4 minutes per game. And he's averaging 3.2 points per game over the last 5 games. He's shooting 28.6% from the 3, and he's shooting 23.8% from just the regular field goal. When it comes to Quentin Grimes, I get what you're saying, so him struggling is the reason why maybe Jalen, RJ, and Julius Randle are able to go off. But when you're playing a 7-game series against a tough matchup in the postseason, you're not going to be able to get away with ISO ball in 7 games. Teams are going to figure out your schemes. If you play them back-to-back over 7 games, they're going to figure you out. So you need someone, whether that's DeMar DeRozan, whether that's someone else. We need someone who we can rely on, because how many times in that third quarter we go cold? Jalen goes cold, RJ, Julius, they all go cold. We need somebody that we can throw the ball to and say, you know what, go and get that basket. And it may be DeMar DeRozan. I get it. DeMar DeRozan is going to be 35 next year, and I'm not sure if he's going to fit into our timeline.
I don't know.
Does DeMar DeRozan on this team make us better than Quentin Grimes does on this team?
Let's do
There's
this.
an argument to have when it comes to that.
Let's do this. Phil, before you go, because I know you're going to go in on the DeMar DeRozan, let me play the Scott Perry clip real quick, and then we'll jump into DeMar DeRozan talks. All right,
go ahead.
Could be a guy that helps become that third option, if you will, on some of those teams that you mentioned, whether it be a New York or Miami. I would imagine that a team like the Lakers could be interested in him. He has proven the ability to score and score in the clutch and close games. He's 34 years old, and I think what teams will take into consideration is trying to figure out how much they think he has left. Personally, I think he has a good 2 to 3 years left at playing at a comparable level to where he's at right now. So I'm really excited. I don't have any information on who would be the lead in going after him, but I really like this player, and I think it's the same thing that I said about Miami. Again, you'll have a number of players that operate in the same area. Obviously Jalen Brunson, excellent in the mid-range. Julius, excellent mid-range, getting to the basket. RJ gets to the rim. But, Jalen Brunson is shooting well over 40% from 3. RJ Barrett is shooting close to 40 right now. I think he may have dipped slightly below over the last couple of games. And Julius is capable. So, that will be incumbent if they decide to do that again, and all those 3 guys are there, and DeMar joins that group, then it's going to be incumbent upon Tom Thibodeau and staff to figure that out. And how do you get your 4 top players on the court along with Mitchell Robinson, and you figure out the best offensive path. But sometimes those are high-level problems to have, and you may rather have that high-level problem than not.
Exactly.
Exactly. Have it than not. Phil, go ahead, because I see you boiling. As my brother, I know when you're boiling inside. Let it go and then pass it over to the ladies.
So this is why And you guys know, for me, I think Grimes, if given the right opportunities to grow, can grow into a great player. I do believe he has a great ceiling. However, this starting lineup, you are not going to see that. Like, it is not a guy who is trying to figure out himself that is going to be able to actually do that in a starting lineup that Tibbs runs of 3 guys that are his main guys. Like, this is not the starting lineup where you find your wings. Our bench is where you find your wings. You look at Emmanuel Quickly. Emmanuel Quickly grew into Emmanuel Quickly because he wasn't battling for shots with RJ, Jiggaman, and freaking Randle. So that's why Grimes can't be thriving in this starting lineup. He's not going to find himself. He's not going to find his confidence. He doesn't have confidence yet as an NBA player, and he needs to be on the bench for that. So with that, we are playing 3 against 5 offensively in an offensively minded league. Like, you are looking at, like, yes, we play great defense. That's great. But if a team is putting up this many points and we can't match that many points, it doesn't matter. And there's going to be a time where in a 7-game series, Mitchell Robinson's not going to be able to every single night pull down 9 and 10 offensive rebounds. They're going to start
the other night.
They're going to produce points off of our misses, and it's going to be an issue. So that's why, for me, the DeMar DeRozan thing works. I said it before we signed Fournier. When it was Fournier or DeRozan that were options for us, and it was pretty much the same price tag, I said, what the hell are you doing? DeMar DeRozan. And so with DeMar DeRozan, you don't have to worry about confidence. You don't have to worry about, like, someone that can close. You look at a lot of other teams. The reason Boston's going to be so hard to beat is because they have multiple people that can close a game with the last few seconds on the clock. We only have one guy that can do that. That's Jalen Brunson. Randle, he's playing well. But we all know you send a double team on Randle with the final minutes of the game, you're either getting a foul, a push off, an elbow, an air ball. You're not going to get a closing shot from Julius Randle. That's not the player that he is. He doesn't have that, like, Mamba mentality that he wishes he had sometimes. He's not a closer. So you have Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett. It depends on the game. So you can't really rely on that because some games he could have the closing capabilities. Sometimes he could shoot an air ball 3 that costs us the game. You need someone that can close and whose pressure does not bother them. DeMar DeRozan is that guy. You can create, seriously, probably an hour-long highlight reel of DeMar DeRozan final shots, whether it's from the midi or from 3-point. That guy knows how to close and knows how to take you either into overtime or to get that. And like Terry said in another interview, you move RJ to that 2, and now he's even more powerful. A lot of these 2 guards cannot guard him when he drives with the strength that he drives. And his defense is great right now against small forwards. Imagine against smaller shooting guards. So you move him to that second position. You throw in DeMar DeRozan. Now you're playing 4-on-5 offensively, but you have guys that can shoot. And we don't need threes. I know that's people's, like, biggest thing is we need a 3-point shooter. Jalen Brunson is number 4 in the league right now when it comes to shooting percentage from 3. So we have our 3-point shooter, and he's best at catch and shoot when he has an actual second to catch the ball off of a pick and roll. Now you don't have them guarding him so tightly because DeMar's another factor. So he gets more free 3-pointer shots. He can worry about executing from 3. DeMar can hit from anywhere from the 3 to the midi. And now you add another area of shooting for us. So it doesn't have to be just a 3-point shooter. It has to be someone that can put the ball down or shoot.
Yeah, and I will say we do have another 3-point shooter. His name's the Big Ragu. Just saying, DiVincenzo's freaking smoking hot. But I'm gonna throw it over to the ladies.
I just wanted to add something real quick, right? And also when it comes to DeMar DeRozan, he is at a stage of his career. Like I said, he's going to be 35 next year. He's going to be a free agent after this season. He's not going to sign for 24, 25, 28 million. He's going to take a pay cut next year. And he's at that stage in his career that he could be like, you know what? I can take a fallback know that I'm going to get my points when I can get my points. And let me just help out the big three that's here when it comes to Jalen, when it comes to Julius, and when it comes to RJ. And let's course correct our mistakes as a Knicks franchise. We drafted Jordan Hill right before DeMar DeRozan. He should have been a Knick. We needed shooting guards. We already had David Lee, and we drafted Jordan Hill instead of DeMar DeRozan. That's what I wanted to say. Go ahead,
ladies. Before you give us your takes on DeRozan and what you would do, I like to pay attention to some of the chat. And when serious questions come out, we have to address them. And our boy DSJ wants to know, ladies, which one is Omni and which one is fans? Breaking news.
Oh my God. Well, we're both Omni and fan, but I'm Jen and that's Jazz.
There you go. The serious questions here on the Brew, all right?
Serious. Only the serious questions.
All right, ladies, take it away. How are we feeling about DeRozan? Are you making that move? Love to get your takes on it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Phil said it best, and also Hector. I mean, DeMar DeRozan fits into our need right now, and that's to have a turnkey shooting guard. We don't want to have to, he's been developed, he's a veteran, he's clutch, and that's like what Phil said. We need somebody who's clutch, who's gonna, and I do agree that I think that we need to have at least two like deadly 3-point shooters. That's what this league has turned into. That's not my preference. I'd rather go hard in the paint, you know what I'm saying? Old school. But it's a league of shooters, 3-point shooters. So for us to have another deadly 3-point shooter in DeMar DeRozan, I mean, come on. What more could you ask for? I mean, I think he'd be perfect for our team.
Yeah, no, and in terms of spreading the floor and offensive threats, see, that's what makes it hard for other teams to defend us. When they know that Quentin Grimes is not shooting, they're not going to put a man on him. They're going to double up and not even be worried about guarding Quentin Grimes. When you have another offensive threat like DeMar DeRozan on the floor, they're going to have to defend us and play us completely differently than if there was a Quentin Grimes in the lineup.
Yeah.
See, ladies, I know it's about to be 12, and I know we got you for a few more minutes. So
it's okay. We'll stay on. Yeah, we'll stay on. Let's stay until like at least 12:15.
All right,
nailed it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So last thing before we move from DeRozan, a lot of people.
I wasn't gonna move from DeMar yet, but go ahead.
Okay, a lot of people's pushback on DeRozan is, he couldn't do it in Chicago. What you don't realize is Chicago was built the way that it was built to work with Ball. Without Ball being in the lineup, it does not work because LaVine is not a facilitator. He is a scorer. He's a score first. I'm just going to score. That's what he does. I'm going to find a way to get a bucket. Vucevic works on a pick and roll. If you don't have a point guard who's able to pick and roll, a pick and roll doesn't really matter. Now you're no longer effective as a big doing a pick and roll from 3. And same thing with DeRozan. Now DeRozan pretty much has to bear the weight of being that vet, but also that scorer, also figure out how to facilitate him and LaVine. It doesn't work. What they are missing is a Jalen Brunson type point guard who demands respect, but can also dish it off and free people up. We have that. I think Chicago would have been a really different team if Ball never got hurt. They were starting to show it when he was healthy. So that team only fell apart, not because of DeRozan, not because of LaVine, but because it was organized to go through the hands of Ball. And when he was gone, that whole team fell apart because that was how it was constructed. So
I like to always make sure I put a comment out there that's going to piss people off on the timeline, and then I hit mute and ignore them on X all week long. I just wish we had a magic ball, okay, that literally said, hey, we promise you if we go and get DeRozan, that's not the only move we make. We will find that other piece to go hand in hand with it. Because my issue is I'm still not sold that even if we go and get DeMar, that's the piece that pushes us to that championship level. I think it's another piece that helps us.
No,
I just don't know if it's
what other piece besides what other position do you think we need to make
improvements on?
Yeah, make the move on.
That's the question I haven't answered and why I need the magic ball, right? Because I still don't feel that it's that one. I don't know. I just feel like it's, again, we're going after a rental. Yeah, does it help in the interim? But does it really?
Yes, right.
You know, it's like, okay, cool. So we don't get to that championship. And then do we resign him next year? Did he do enough that we put the money into it when we still have guys like IQ and all this that we're hoping we don't lose, that we know we're going to have to pony up? So it's, again, it's like, yes.
It's the best situation because
that's what I'm here for. Tell me.
Since it is a rental, you see if it works. You don't have to buy in long term. You see if it actually makes us contenders. And if not, you don't sign him another year. You don't extend him in any way, shape, or form. If it takes us to that next level, then you go, yeah, this is the piece that we need to continue to contend. Now we can sign him for another 2 or 3 years. So a rental is actually the best situation because we don't really have to alter any of the main pieces that we already have in place. And then we can figure out if that works or not. Because if you look at it, everyone's talking about the 2 teams that he really wants to go to are here in Miami. Miami is the last place I want to see DeRozan go. Like, I do not want to see him go to Miami, and then we're playing a team of Butler, Adebayo, and freaking that whole Kyle Lowry, everybody there. That's not what I want. So,
yeah, and that's the point that I wanted to bring up. If you trade for DeMar DeRozan, you're not just trading for DeMar DeRozan to improve your starting lineup and put him in your starting lineup. You're trading for DeMar DeRozan to make sure he doesn't go to the Miami Heat. The same Miami Heat that eliminated us in the second round of the postseason last year. That's what you're trying to avoid. When you look at the standings right now, we're technically 5th in the East. We're tied for 4th place. Miami's in 7th place. They're literally right under Indiana. If Miami goes on a winning streak, they could be 5 and 6 with us. We may have to match up with Miami in the postseason. And I'm not trying to match up with Miami, and they have DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan on that team, it makes them a better team. So, like I said, you're not only trading for DeMar DeRozan to improve your team, you're trading for him to stop him from going to Miami. You got to play chess. You got to play chess, not checkers.
But when we talk about trade scenarios, see, I don't feel comfortable that we would be able to keep our core intact trading for DeMar DeRozan.
Absolutely
and
not.
that's like the part of that conversation that I will, as a matter of fact, I would not be willing to give up my big 3 or even Mitchell Robinson. I don't like. I would literally only.
Definitely not.
You know, in the trade for DeMar DeRozan, I don't see how that actually helps us. He has to be signed as a free agent at some point because exactly. And just because a player says a team that they want to go to, they may not end up there. We've seen it happen time and time again. That could be just speculation too.
Yeah. And I think there was an article that was put out by The Athletic. Also, we got 32 people in the building, so if you guys can't smack that like button,
I'm gonna put this one up there. Yeah, that's right, building blocks. I'm right there with you. I'm not scared of my area.
No, but there was an article put out by The Athletic talking about trade scenarios, and people in the chat, folks on the panel, I'm gonna ask you, would you be comfortable trading Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, and 2 draft picks, the draft picks from Washington and the draft pick from Detroit, in order to get it done for DeMar DeRozan? Because those 2 draft picks, those aren't our draft picks. Those are lottery protected. Evan Fournier is an expiring contract. Quentin Grimes, it is what it is with Quentin Grimes. So would you be willing to let go of those 2 and those draft picks for DeMar?
Of course, but that ain't gonna happen. Yeah, I would put the trigger on that.
If we weren't willing to give up Grimes for Donovan, how are we now gonna say okay to giving up Grimes for DeRozan?
Yeah,
like, that's another piece.
Because
they're gonna want somebody with a lot more promise.
Time has told us what Grimes is. And Donovan's going to be a free agent eventually, and he's going to end up in New York, whether it's us or Brooklyn. It's going to happen. So here's the thing, though. You guys are looking at them wanting the core. They've already tried that. They've already tried rebuilding a team based around veterans, and it didn't work. They ended up not being able to build their team based around veterans. They got a veteran in Vooch. Then they went and paired him with Levine, who was there. They kept him as a vet. They brought in DeRozan, who was already a vet. And they only had 1 young guy, which was Lonzo, and it didn't work. So they are not, in my opinion, going to rebuild with a team of vets again. So if you look, they're not going to be trying to get Julius Randle. They're not going to be trying to get RJ Barrett, who has been up or down, left and right. So they are going to look at.
I think that's
They're going to
debatable.
look at someone. They're going to look at someone like Grimes and say, okay, defensively, we can add him to it. We get these 2 picks to rebuild around, and Fournier comes off of our books, and now we can target an actual star to bring to Chicago with the money coming off the books. So DeRozan's going to leave.
Unless they're blowing it all up, they're not.
I think they are. I definitely think they are.
But
I mean,
if that's what their
But who blows it up? But who blows some shit up and then signs Fournier and Grimes? That is not where you want to start.
Fournier's coming off the books. That's the only reason you sign Fournier is to move a player that you need to move and get those millions of dollars to be able to use somewhere else. If you look at it, they're talking about trading both Levine and DeRozan. You're rebuilding.
They're
if
blowing it up.
You're
They want
done.
absolutely nothing in return. I mean, not to say that Quentin Grimes, is
It's
nothing,
the pick.
but he's not. So we're talking about.
I think they're just paying for the
No,
picks, though.
they're just they would just be paying for the picks, right? And what's going on in Chicago is there's no one knows what's going to happen with Lonzo Ball and his knee. His career may be over. That's what they're looking at in Chicago. The Knicks, we dodged the bullet because I was the Knicks fan that I wanted Lonzo Ball in New York City. I'll tell you that right now. But the way that his knee, the rehabbing, he hasn't been able to get into basketball activities during this season. So who knows what's going to happen with Lonzo Ball next year? And he's signed for a few more seasons after that at big time money. So if you're the Chicago Bulls, who's ran by that idiot owner who decided to get rid of Jordan and that dynasty because he wanted to go young, he'd probably do the same thing over here.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm going to end it, and we're going to move on to the next time. I'm going to end it with, I don't care. I'm still not sold on DeRozan.
I'm about to pay that $50 to silence you.
Hey, if it makes us a super chat, let's go. Let's play this clip real quick, and we'll jump on this topic because, guys, we do have a game tomorrow. All right, we got the in-season tournament. We up against them Bucks. Let's check this out.
To beat the Knicks on Tuesday.
We got to control the ball. We know Jalen Brunson is aggressive. You know, he's playing with a lot of confidence, and he's the head of the snake. So we got to handle that. And, we just can't let everybody be effective. I think the last time we played them, Grimes came out, hit some threes early. Brunson was getting places. Everybody was just kind of getting to where they wanted to get. We were in no man's land a lot of times where we weren't helping or stopping penetration or getting back to our guys. So we just got to be sharp on our coverages. And like I said just now, we got to just take the challenge and protect the home court. Just knowing what's at stake. We got to win this game, and we move on.
I'm going to pass it to you, ladies, so we can talk about this game, all right? But one thing I want to say is, how is it all of us as content creators, we find microphones that silence all the noise around us? Why can't these reporters in the locker room do the same shit? I hear babies crying, all kinds of shit. Like, what is he saying?
Oh, there's somebody's house.
Oh, God, that's hilarious.
Sorry, my ADHD kicked in. Every time I watch the clip, I'm like, what do you say? I can't hear a damn word he said.
Right. No.
How we feel about this game tomorrow, and also how you guys... What are your thoughts on the in-season tournament overall as well?
Well, I mean, just in terms of, I guess we'll handle the commentary about the tournament first. I mean, the tournament, I just think it's been something that's fun. I mean, obviously, I didn't fully understand it until a few days ago, I would say. Just in terms of all the extra, because there's a lot of details in terms of how they pick who qualified and things like that, and the prize money and blah, blah, blah. But overall, I think it's been a great thing that I've seen the players take very well to it. I mean, Julius had an interview the other night, and he was just showing how much fun he was having, and I think that it was great to incentivize the players to play a super high level of basketball early on in the season, which we don't usually get to see. Some players, they just wait until after All-Star break to kick it into full gear, and I like that this has put something on the line for them to play for. And I think it's cool to incentivize them. Obviously money is going to be an NBA player's biggest incentive, because what else do they need but more money? But it's giving the fans a reason to be excited. It's like the courts, they got creative. And at first I wasn't too sure about it. I actually was against it because I'm like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that's just the old school in me. So I have to change like Tibbs.
I don't want it. No change. I'm a creature of habit.
Because I think it's been fun. The kids love it. I think even us as, some of the, I don't know, OGs in terms of this basketball thing, we can even appreciate it because we see that these guys are actually having fun. I mean, this has been one of the most competitive NBA seasons, start of the NBA season that we've seen in a long time. I mean, how many close games have we seen? How many from like big, huge deficits come from behind wins or almost wins that we've seen this season? I mean, guys are trying to posterize guys every other night. It's been really fun to watch. So I think the in-season tournament has been good for the league and for our team as well. But what do you think about this Bucks game?
Well, I think we definitely have a great chance to win and to further advance in this tournament. I think the biggest difference is that Julius Randle is going to be a major factor this time because when we played them the first game, he shot terribly. You know, this is in the first 6 games of the season where he wasn't, really performing on the offensive end. So now he's hit his stride, and I think he's going to be a very key factor in terms of the offensive spread. And because I know JB had 45 points, which was great, but we still lost that game. So we need the other players to step up, and I think Julius Randle is going to be a big part of that, and also DiVincenzo. I mean, his 3-point shooting has been on point. Dane mentioned Quentin Grimes in the interview. They better be on notice for DiVincenzo.
And DiVincenzo, because his defense is also nothing to be played with.
DiVincenzo, I like that one. We go with DiVincenzo. I'm getting a t-shirt, people.
Also, too, I see a lot of Knicks fans saying that we need to trade for size and we need size to come off of the bench. I just want to throw this out there. When it comes to points off the bench, players that are leading, this season is Tim Hardaway Jr. He's an undersized guard coming off the bench, averaging 16, almost 17 points a game. Then you got Bojan Bogdanovic, who's a small forward, but he's horrible defensively for Atlanta. He's averaging 15.7. Emmanuel Quickly, 15.3. Cole Anthony, 15.2. Karis LeVert, 14.8. Lonnie Walker, 14.6. So by me just saying that, there's only one person on that list that's a small forward or could play small forward, and that's Karis LeVert. Cleveland is not trading us Karis LeVert. So when you look at all the guards that are out there and the guards that we have on our team, as long as we play team defense, I think we will be in it to win it. And that's what it comes down to. Team defense. I get it. For opening night, we was at the Garden. There's not that many people that are going to stop Jason Tatum, right? So people complaining about Quentin Grimes not being a good defender on Jason Tatum. There's not that many defenders in the league that are going to stop Jason Tatum. Exactly. You just hope to contain him. So when you look at the points coming off of the bench and who's leading for 6th man of the year, it's 10 players, 9 of them of guards, 1 of them is a small forward.
Would you say that we kind of put a ding against we struggle against tall team narrative after that Raptors game? I mean, that's in our favor, right? They're a bigger team. We showed. I mean, I'm not saying it wipes it away, but it was, hey, a little strike against that one. Like, okay, you might need to update your taste a little bit because the little guy.
That's a fact. I mean, the whole thing is no team has had a perfect record, and I don't even know how long. I don't even know if that's ever happened in league history. But the point is, you're gonna go through your ups and downs. Different teams they're gonna review the tape a little harder, and they're gonna have their card a little more, than others. And I gotta give credit to the guys and to the coaching staff for when we come in prepared and we handle business against teams that we are the underdog, which we're statistically the underdog in a lot of these games that we played so far. I mean, we've had one of the most tough schedules to start the NBA season. I mean, in terms of opponents and in terms of traveling.
Yeah, so, and we're going to be playing the Bucks 5 times this season now. With this.
And also another X factor I feel like will be the difference in this game is going to be free throw shooting as well. Because last game that we played them, I mean, it was a very close game in terms of stats. I think that they outblocked us. I think they had like at least 2 point something more blocks than we did, and our free throw percentage was like 4% lower than theirs. But if we just tighten up those little areas, we could beat them.
Those are keys to close that,
to close wins. Absolutely. And Julius Randle, like Jazz said, is going to be, in terms of offense, that he's going to be the factor. And then, like we said, there's DiVincenzo, who you just never know if he's going to go off. And he's been looking way more consistent as in the past 5 games. So
Phil, I'm going to toss it to you for your take, but my favorite troll in the chat, DSJ, he got another one for the Omni. He said, did Omni or Fan just say she old school like Tibbs? Y'all look like y'all cut in school. I'm about to call the truancy office on y'all. DSJ. DSJ a clown.
DSJ's a
love
clown.
it.
I
my
love
goodness,
that.
love
I
it.
wish.
I love
Oh
it.
my goodness, you're too
All right,
kind,
so-
DSJ.
so-
Whoever you are, we love you.
So based off of Dame's interview, when you watch it, he talks about how it's just one more game. We're ready for Vegas. So I think for them, they're coming in pretty confident, that they can take us on. So I think that we need to come in not willing to play less than every single minute of that game. Because I feel like a lot of games that we lose are because we play 3 or 3.5 quarters and then expect to coast. We go in to halftime with a close game or with a lead, and then we come out like, oh, we got this. And other teams are like, no, your pride is going to be your fall, and they make us eat it, And so I think with a team like the Bucks, you can't take it easy because, they talked about how Grimes hit so many threes that game. Well, Grimes hasn't been hitting anything right now. So that's a negative for us too. So Randle's coming in as hopefully a positive, but there goes the points unless Grimes shows up out of nowhere. They know the issues that, Jalen Brunson causes. Dame straight up said, we're going to try to shut that down. We need to focus on that. So we have to find other ways to shoot. And so I think for me, like you said, Randle is a key factor, but in another way. Unfortunately, in games that really, really matter where we're trying to prove a point or something like that, Randle likes to go this tit for tat, like with their star. Like, oh, you think you're a star? Watch me. You're not doing that with Giannis. Like, don't try to go tit for tat with Giannis. Don't poke the bear. Don't try to muscle up and show. So I think Randle needs to play a good game, but a humble game. He's not going to get the calls that Giannis or Dame are going to get. So if he starts expecting to get those calls and he's just complaining the whole time, that's going to be an issue. He just needs to stay grounded, stay focused, play team ball. Against a team like that, you can't go star versus star. You have to move the ball. You have to be a fluid one-team offense. They play the star game way better than we do. So we have to find ways to play as a unit. And when it comes to what people were saying about the length, yet that Raptors game was great. But if you look at the standings right now, every team on the East and West, the top teams do have length, so in a 7-game series that could end up playing a factor over time, because as great as Jalen Brunson is, you're expecting him to go up to 7 games trying to find creative ways to shoot over their big guys. He can't do that 7 games in a row.
But I just want to touch on the Julius Randle factor. If you look at Julius Randle, he's been playing some of the most unselfish basketball of his entire career this season.
Yep.
He is literally tied with Jalen Brunson, I believe, 5.5 assists per game. That's unheard of. That goes to show you that Julius is taking note. He's letting the defense collapse on him, and he's finding the open man. I love that, and I think that that's going to, again, affect our game with Milwaukee. He's going to break down that defense and pass it out, and that's when DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, RJ Barrett, quickly, they're going to come into play with hitting those open jumpers as they should be.
Yep.
And when you look at the stats, the game within the game, shout out to my guy Worldwide L, but the Knicks are leading the NBA with opponents' points per game. We're giving up 105.5. Milwaukee is 23rd in the league. They're giving up 118 points per game. When you look at the top 5 in the East, is Boston, Orlando, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and the Knicks. The only other team besides the Knicks that are top 10 when it comes to opponents' points per game is the Orlando Magic. Boston, they're allowing opponents to run up that scoreboard. Milwaukee, Philadelphia, they're allowing teams to run up that scoreboard. So if we do what we're known for doing, and that's playing defense, Tom Thibodeau's style of basketball, we'll be able to contend with the top dogs in the league.
So I'm going to say this. One, I'm glad all you had something to say because I literally was choking on water and I almost died on camera. So I'm glad I made it through that. We're going to let the ladies. Oh, my eyes are all watery. I was like, I was dying.
I did that very quietly.
But before you ladies get out of here, number one, thank you so much for making time. We hope to have you back on the show again this season.
Yes.
Let us know when the next events are. We trying to get, lock it in to be there with y'all, but also promote it. In the chat, guys, I went ahead and dropped the link.
Freezy.
What up, Freezy? I dropped the Twitter handle there for the OmniFan. And then also, here's the link for the last Nick Tacto. That was the one with Mill Media, right? Is that the one I just saw? All right, so I just dropped that, guys. Go in there, show support, sub, like. If you're not following the ladies and the Nick of Time, what the hell you doing with your life?
Come on.
Get it together. How you doing? Ladies, any last words before you get out of here?
Last words would just be, well, first of all, we're hosting an event on Sunday, December 10th. Against the Westchester Knicks. It's going to be a whole courtside experience, food included, all that good stuff. And then we have our December 23rd Knicks-Miss game. It's going to be dope. Just check us out on IG and hit us up at www.theomnifan.com so you can see all of our merch and all of our events. And just wanted to thank you guys thoroughly from the bottom of our hearts for having us today. You guys are so amazing, so generous, so dope, and we appreciate your time.
This was so much fun. I can't wait to come back.
We gotta do it again. Whenever you guys want to come back on, you just let me know. We'll set that up. Like I said, whenever you guys have events, send them to me on Instagram. It's an open door policy. We'll promote them. We'll put them in the links to our descriptions of our videos going forward. And like my guy Knicks are nice, I'll try to be there at Westchester. I'm trying to pull up to Westchester and hang out with Jazz and Jay, bro.
Let's go. All right, ladies, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, ladies. Have a good one.
Hey, Phil.
Peace to you guys in the chat. We appreciate you too.
And I'll hit you up so we can figure out a date maybe after the holidays and everything like that to try to put our brains together to do something collaborative. Maybe we even do it like an event, that we do, and maybe we do go live with you guys.
We're down with that. We're down with that.
Yeah. And make sure you answer Jay Ellis's text messages, Phil. All right.
Yeah,
I don't want
Phil,
to.
come on,
I don't want to see that anymore. Okay. Answer my friend.
I don't have the number saved. New phone.
I know that's right.
Thank you.
All right, later. Thank you guys so much.
Love you
All right,
guys.
fellas, let's go ahead and let's talk a little Knicks a little longer because we got some more topics to jump on.
Let's do it. We got 35 in the building.
Fantastic.
Smack that like button for the guys.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to OmniFan, man. Such a great conversation. Love having them on. But, there's still some stuff to talk. Everybody in the chat, I know we haven't done a roll call in a bit, but Knicks are nice. DSJ, Ron, still Knicks fans. How you doing? Uncle Freezy, Corey Lee is in the building.
Shout out my guy Corey Lee.
Is in the building.
Wiz,
Savage
salute.
NYC. How you doing? Keith Turner. I saw Benji was in the building. We got everybody coming through. Appreciate you guys.
Johnny Davis.
My guy Johnny
Jay
Davis.
Ellis in the building. Love of the Game is in the building. The Knicks fam is coming through
Building
hard.
blocks. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my guy Merc So Saucy's in the building. Merc, how you doing, gorgeous?
Jordan in the building. What it do,
G
fellas?
Money, how you doing, fam?
So, guys, a couple things we can talk about before we bounce, but
Go ahead, bro.
we got to talk Julius Randle. The ladies just brought it up a second ago, so I thought that was definitely worth talking about.
Yes, Phil's favorite Nick.
Yo, he's catching heat. Right? I mean, and I'm not saying heat in a negative way. The boys starting to get it together and looking really good. The assists are coming through. Phil, we'll start with you, bro. How you feeling with Randle?
Yo, it's one of those things that it was my guy Tony, the fake little Thanos of Knicks Twitter. Love that guy. He made a post about Randle. He's like, how many people will still not be supportive of Randle? And this wasn't even one of his best games. It was just a good game, and I left a comment and I was like, anyone who can't support Randle in this game is just choosing to spew hate for the sake of spewing hate, because he played a really, really good game. And so, I know that when we joke about how, people always, think that I'm like this number 30 hate. But I don't know how many actual posts I've made about Julius Randle in the last 3 weeks that have been propping Julius Randle up, because for me, this is the best basketball that I've seen of Julius Randle. I said it the other day. Everyone was posting about his 20-something points. And I was like, yo, honestly, people impressed by a 20-plus point Randle game does not impress me. I'm not impressed. I am impressed with a 10-plus rebound and 9-plus assist Julius Randle. I am impressed with a Julius Randle who has actually been encouraging and showing different team members things that they can be doing. Like he did it with Emmanuel quickly in that Hawks game. He encouraged Mitchell Robinson to take it to the basket on his defender. So this is a different kind of Julius Randle. If I see this kind of Julius Randle and not the 18 minutes hands up at the referee, Julius kind of Randle, there's nothing to have a problem with. Someone did post a video that I was dying. It was an engagement session that happened at a game the other day. And in the background, Julius Randle is fighting with a ref during the timeout. And it was an orchestrated New York Knicks, like, he's on the sideline proposing to his wife, wife to be. And it said, how much would it suck that you pay to propose to your wife? And the video will always have a complaining Julius Randle in the background.
Phil, what was funny was when they were reviewing to see if it was a technical when his knee went in, right? And I was about to tweet and I didn't do it, but my thought was, us New York Knicks fans know he was definitely about to go complain to the refs. Like, no technical. We can all vouch the next step in that move was him going to complain to the refs. And I thought it was hilarious because they're like, well, it looks like he was probably just going to say something to the ref. Not probably. Yes. Yeah. He thought he got fouled. He knew he should, so I thought that was freaking hilarious. But Savage wrote in here, and then Hector, I'll throw to you on Julius.
Yeah.
Randle shooting like poo-poo, doo-doo from three, and that will kill us in the playoffs when they pack the paint.
That's exactly what I wanted to bring up. And shout out to my guy, Savage NYC. When you look at Julius Randle's stats, especially over the past 5 games, shout out to StatMuse. They do an amazing job breaking down stats over like a certain period of time. But over the last 5 games, Julius Randle is shooting below 30%. He's at 29.2% from the 3-point line. When it comes to Randle, when he gets hot, he could be lights out from beyond the 3-point line. When he gets cold, it looks bad, and he's building a brick house from beyond the 3-point line. So when it comes to Randle, he has to have that perfect balance, and his shot IQ has to be a little bit better from beyond the arc. Besides that, when you look at his field goal percentage just in total, he's over 50%. He's at 51.2% from the field. So he's getting into his spots down low. He's getting to the lane. He's getting those foul calls. And like Phil said, being impressed with Julius Randle scoring 20 points per game, that's whatever. I'm more impressed with Julius Randle. It's nearing a triple-double per game. Over the past 5 games, he's 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Over the past 5 games, he's almost gotten that triple-double. If Quentin Grimes can knock down shots when he has the ball, he probably would have had a couple of triple-doubles. But no, when it comes down to Randle, I just want to see a happy medium.
It's the shoes.
It's the shoes.
Shout out Sketches.
It's Mr. Sketcher looking sketchy from beyond the 3-point line. That's all I'm going to say.
Like you're saying, Heck, like this is where I get a little frustrated with coaching. Like if you have a guy who's struggling to even shoot. Oh man,
that's hilarious.
Anyway, if you're coaching and you have a guy who is struggling to even hit 30% from 3, yet he is shooting over 50% from anywhere else, why are you not coaching him to stop shooting so much from 3 and get the almost guaranteed bucket in the paint? Like that is the thing that's struggling for me, is like, coach that out of him, because he's going to necessarily, go back to that whenever he sees the opportunity, because he likes putting up points. He loves putting up points, and 3 puts up more in your total than 2 does. It's just natural. But if someone would tell him, hey, you're not hitting 3s, stop shooting them unless it's like, a perfectly uncontested 3 that you think you can make, I think that's going to help, I think he's trying to overcompensate for the fact that Grimes isn't making 3s. But we don't need him to overcompensate. We just need him to play his game.
Look, I said it in the beginning of the season, you guys know it. I said it time and time again. This team will go as Randle goes, right? We saw the horrible start in the beginning. Again, move on from that. He's performing way better. The thing, Phil, that I agree with you, one thing that excites me is when I see him actually telling the guys and showing a little bit of that veteran leadership. Yo, take that shot. Yo, move over here. And him actually going in and getting double teamed and then actually bringing the ball back out and not just throwing it up like we would have seen last season. So, yeah, a lot to be excited about when it comes to Randle. Two topics, and then we'll get out of here, guys. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Y'all been killing it. But
and smack that like button.
Smack it. Hold on. Savage said, "Can you coach Randle not complain to the refs?" No, you can't.
All right. One thing I will say, someone posted it, and I was dying. I'm trying to remember who it was. But OG, like one of the 90s fans, they showed the video of Randle walking by and like kneeing Pascal Siakam in the head as he was walking by after like that whole transaction. And he's like, I don't know about y'all. Y'all can hate on me all you want, but this is the Randle I would like to see more of. This is the Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley style 90s basketball that we missed.
We do not promote violence here on the Morning Brew. We're just saying.
We do not promote violence. But one thing I'm going to say is somebody needs to give Pascal Siakam a Razzie Award. That acting, Julius Randle didn't even touch you, my guy. And you would have thought he got shot in the face the way he was acting on the floor.
Yo, talk about people taking damage. Yo, Brunson is freaking amazing at drawing those charges, bro. Amazing. I just had to say that because we were talking about people taking stuff. But off topic from the Knicks, what's up with the Mark Cuban stuff? I haven't had a chance to really look into it. So I saw the Dunk Central put out there. He ends up pocketing like $2 or $3 billion in the Dallas Maverick sale. Basketball operations control plans to build a new arena in Dallas and plans to build a casino district. What do you guys think is the biggest factor behind this? And people in the chat, if you've got more insight on this and you're people that are smarter than I am, please throw some of that information in here. I'm just curious.
It's genius.
Mark Cuban, he's foreshadowing because there's a new TV deal that's going to be in the works, and he knows that the TV deal, that revenue, it's not going to be what it is right now, especially when it comes to streaming. You guys saw the actors for SAG. They went on strike because actors were getting 6 cents residual checks from streaming services. So the money hasn't been divided out properly towards the actors, towards the teams. Right now, you got Amazon offering everything free. Like, hey, we'll give you free this, free that if you sign up for us. Somewhere down the line, the bill has to be paid. And then in the new TV deal, I don't think it's going to be as favorable for the owners as the recent TV deals have been over the past 30 or 40 years. And also, when it comes to Mark Cuban, he made his money. I was talking to you, Celso, about this by shorting stocks, which is something I think should be illegal, but that's anywho. He made his money shorting stocks, betting on what's going to fail in the future when it comes to certain stocks that went public. Us being on YouTube, right? The reason we're on YouTube and able to stream to your computer or to your phone is because of Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban in the early 2000s, when the .com buzz was going crazy, he had a company that came up with the software to stream from YouTube to your phone, from TVs to your phone, from streaming services, and he sold that right before the .com buzz went underneath, and everything was haywire and stuff when it comes to online companies and stuff. Pet.com is a perfect example for that. So I just look at it as Mark Cuban being ahead of the curve yet again, coming out on top, because how can you sell majority stakes to your team but still be in control of basketball operations? Mark Cuban, whether you like him or whether you hate him, when it comes to his business accolade, he's right on the money.
Yep. And that's the thing, is that's what I was saying, is he's selling because he's a genius. Like, he is able to do what he loves, which is control what decisions are made basketball wise. And if you look, there's a lot of speculations because the family that he sold the team to is actually a family from Nevada that, you know, have this whole like casino thing out there. And they're trying to legalize gambling again in Texas. So getting them to come in means, okay, now there's all this money for the casino backing from this family. We can actually create our own new arena that we really want, incorporate it with gambling, and now he has more of a monster on his hands, but it's solely focused on what he really wants to do, which is be in control of the basketball operations. So I think it's huge. I think it's a great job. And if you think of how much he sold it for, like, it's absolutely insane. Like, because he bought it for $285 million and he's selling it for $3.25 billion. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. I've never seen.
I don't even. People say billions, and I can't even picture the zeros.
I don't. I just want to tell you,
it hurts. It just hurts.
Oh, you got us poor folks, as us thousandaires, right? We won't be able to understand. I would sell to that's hilarious. We don't understand what $1 billion actually is. $1 billion is $1 million 1,000 times. 1,000 times. So he was able to get that 3 times worth from what he brought it.
Yeah. Beep boop, Chin Sunday. Cannot compute.
Cannot compute. Absolutely, Chin Sunday.
Guys, before we get out of here, shout out to everybody in the chat. You guys make it so much fun to do this every week. This Wednesday, our boy Jerry Ferrara is back on the show with us. We got Anthony Donahue, Mr. MSG, the company man himself, joining us this Wednesday. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm taking a quick personal moment here. Want to give a happy birthday to my son Elijah. Tomorrow, my firstborn turns 21 years old. I joke around about feeling old, but tomorrow's the day I realize I've got a 21-year-old son. So I love you, Papito. I hope you have a great day. I had to make sure I gave my son his love.
Old bastard.
Heck, I'm telling you, bro. Like, you know, and like a true parent, you know, you're gonna sit there and act like I'm taking my son out for his first drink. Well, the first drink he can order at the restaurant when it's
legally,
like, all right, legally drinking.
Yeah, legally.
So love you, Elijah. Guys, any last words before we wrap this up?
Just want to shout out Ronald Hainsley with the 1999 super chat from earlier. My guy Double A with another $4.99. Uncle Jay Boogie, my guy Jay Boogie. Thoughts and prayers with you and your family. Double A as well. Salute to you, my guy. And I think I saved this one because I wanted to bring it up again. My guy Slime Live. I think this is the first time I ever heard someone give James Dolan credit. And you said Anthony MSG, the company man. I'm fighting him for that title this season because I'm going to keep on giving James Dolan the credit that he deserves for taking a step back and being a smart businessman, because all these billionaires, you only got one job. Use your money to hire the right people to do the job, and that's what James Dolan done. He hired the right people. He take a step back, and we got good basketball finally in the Mecca.
You know, I want to, before I get off here, I want to say happy birthday to my nephew. You know, one of the things that brought me the most joy in my life was the first time I held that little guy. And I remember, you know, I joke with him all the time. I have a song that ended up not being released because we were working on an album for a while, but he was probably like 4 years old at the time, 4 or 5 years old. And I had him rap part of the chorus as a little 4 or 5 year old. Song was called Don't Knock the Hustle. And so that will always be, you know, one of my favorite songs because I got to do it with my nephew. And that will always be something that I go back and listen to and joke with him about. So happy birthday to him. Love you, brother. Like, you know how much I love you. And I wish I was there to purchase your first legal drink. So I can cut you off on good whiskey instead of whatever your dad will buy with some basura. So I love you.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, tune in this Wednesday where we put Hector against Anthony for who's the biggest James Dolan supporter.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm going
for it. All I'll say is one of them gets paid and it's justified.
Okay, on that note, deuces.
Deuces.